Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Welcome to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 528. My name is John Morgan, and cold coffee is with me today, but I just don't feel like that's a grand enough introduction. I feel like I should be saying Las Vegas-based investigative video journalist reporter, breaking news, government conspiracy reporter. Cold coffee is with me.
Shama.
So let me lay this. Can we lay this scenario out here? This is the craziest thing I've ever seen.
It was so bizarre and just so random.
So you're working on a project for USA Today.
Yeah.
You're actually shooting some Las Vegas stuff, and in fact, I can say that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons we're getting together later in the day is because you and I are actually going to go out. And I volunteered to help you with this project later on tonight.
Yep.
Certainly, I am no longer on the USA Today payroll. I am persona non grata over there, but I'll still help my buddy Cold Coffee out.
And I said I'd buy us some drinks.
You bring in some frosty beverages, you know I'm in there. So we're going to go shoot some of the Las Vegas Strip and Fremont and all that stuff for some stuff for USA Today.
USA Today, yep.
But you were shooting out at Red Rock Canyon for another aspect of this project.
Super early, too. It was like 8. I got there at 8 a.m.
8 a.m. in the morning.
So the park opens at 6. So right now it's during one of the years we have to put reservations to go. Until like the end of May, you have to have reservations. There's a certain point of the days where they just want you to have reservations, and a lot of that stems back to once they started opening up after COVID. I don't remember them having to do it before that, but at some point they got to the point of like, okay, let's just make sure that we have staff on hand, and I think then we have reservations, blah, blah, blah. So I booked the very first one.
Nice.
I was like, let's get there early. Let's just do this. All right. So when I was already on my way out there, I was shooting the Red Rock sign before you even get out to the actual conservation area, right when you're just starting to enter the National Conservation Area.
If anybody doesn't know, in Las Vegas, Red Rock Canyon, so it's an area out to the far west of the valley. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's named because there are bright red rocks there. You see a lot of people hiking and stuff out there, and there's a conservation area. So it's a national park, right?
So like if you're in Charleston and you're right by the Red Rock Resort Casino, that's Charleston.
There you go.
Just take that, cross over the freeway, and just stay straight.
Yep.
And then before you know it, you're going to be in the conservation area.
Yep.
So when I was doing that, when I was shooting the sign on the outside, a fire truck or something, ambulance passed by, I always just assumed, because usually a lot of times there's bike riders off to the side, and sometimes bike riders get hit by cars. So I assumed that's what it was. So don't think anything about it, and I drive down, and I'm pulling into the conservation area, and I happen to notice the ambulance that had previously passed was pulling in the conservation area. So then I'm like, oh, man, somebody hiking maybe fell because that stuff happens out there. Well, people get lost out there. People get stuck. People fall from, there's lots of like cliff jumping, or not cliff jumping, but cliff climbing and all the other sort of stuff. So I get out there and, walk through the conservation, the welcome center thinking like, okay, I got that covered. Let me just go through, and I'm going to go to one little place, get out and walk a little bit, and then I'll go back. As I'm driving, I look in the rearview mirror and I see another fire truck coming. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So let me just pull off the side. Let this guy pass. He passes. Then another, ambulance passes. Then another like technical rescue team goes by, and then another one goes by. And so in my head, I'm thinking that's at least like 8 that I've seen that have entered in here. I was like, this is crazy. A lot. So I was like, this is either something very, very serious or something else is going on. So drive through, get to the place where I wanted to kind of just get out and just get some steps and just see, because it's beautiful when you're going over towards like the, what do they call it? Not the Calico Basins. There's that, there's the one that fills up. What's it called? I forget what it is. It's got like a well name or something like that, where sometimes it fills up, but usually it's not really full of water. But I got out and I did that. And then when I was doing that, another truck went by. And then I started hearing the helicopter, and that's why I was like, okay, let me get out and let me film this thing. I was like, obviously something's going on. Either it's like a search and rescue helicopter, or it's actually, I just assumed it was like a med flight, because when you looked at it, it wasn't a police one, because the police one came after this one left. So I assumed that this was like a medical helicopter. You can get them, you saw them swoop up, and then they took off and went around. And then I was like, oh man, somebody's really, really hurt, you know. And then I get in the car to go by and drive further, and then that's when I saw like the police helicopter or another helicopter that was just circling all around, which we believe we find out is not that at all.
Yes.
So when I finally passed the park part that was closed, and I put that video out as well, because I was shooting all this at my 360. When I shot the first video, it was just on my phone because I had the 360, but I couldn't zoom in on it, even though I'm thinking, because I'm just getting used to it, I could have zoomed in a little bit on it.
Right.
But you're just so used to it on your phone. You're like, let me put this on the phone. And I was literally standing on this rock face. I was only about 25 feet up, but I'm still at a slant. And it pissed me off because one of the guys commented, he's like, why does everybody that films have Parkinson's? I was like, motherfucker,
Dude,
I'm standing on a cliff.
So you posted that, and I saw that comment, and I was like, "Oh my god, Cole Guy was gonna take this so personal." I was like, "He's a professional shooter
I wanted to
who happened to be
strangle this
shooting
dude.
on his phone." So you posted this video, and it's on your Twitter account, on your X account, out at Red Rock Conservation Area. Not sure the details, but seen over 8 fire emergency vehicles enter property. Can assume major accident. I believe I could see a rescue helicopter in the air as well. You tagged Fox 5 Vegas and Las Vegas Locally, which is a great local account that just is on top of everything here in Las Vegas.
They're a solid account.
Really good account to follow. Las Vegas Locally retweets it and says something went down in Red Rock Canyon this morning. So you're on the so that was crazy. And again, I did see the comment of the guy that said, "Why does the guy have Parkinson's?"
Literally drove me crazy because I was on a rock face, slanted, holding a phone, and still holding the pole, and trying to zoom in on the thing. When I look back at the 360 footage of me, I look absolutely ridiculous trying to like zoom in my phone. It's the most unflattering shot. I'll never ever release it.
It'll never go public.
Ridiculous. It's all just second chin and like me messing with the phone.
So that happens, and later, a few hours after that, another tweet comes out. Or was it? Was it? Yeah, it was just a few hours later, right?
It was a couple hours after that.
A few hours later, Las Vegas Locally comes out with a little bit of a scoop here, and they've got a picture of the valley, and it's a flight tracker. And it shows a pattern of a flying vehicle circling up and down, going back and forth across the area. Red Rock Canyon, exactly where you were, and it is the Department of Energy's radiation scanner helicopter was scanning the western edge of the Vegas Valley earlier today.
Yeah.
So that was the helicopter you saw going back and forth. Was the Department of Energy's radiation scanner. So.
Which is crazy.
All right. I mean, I know you put your tinfoil hat on or something. Like, was there a nuclear spill over there?
Dude,
or
the arrangement. When I saw the positioning of the vehicles, I was like, this is not a rescue, like a typical rescue, because of the way they had it blocked off that you couldn't get it, and then the way the rescue things, they weren't down further by where like the parking area is, and where like say if you were just sort of rescuing, they were like stationed car, but like blocking it, almost like they were waiting to respond or something, or they didn't want to go further. I was so intrigued, but I couldn't stop. When I tried stopping and taking better footage, another park like ranger vehicle came by and he's like, you can't stop there, and I was like, fuck. Here I was trying to be like, let me just get the best video of this kind of stuff, and I was like, what are the chances that one happened to go by? Because the whole time I'm driving, nobody's passing me. I was like, it's so early, nobody's there. But obviously people came in because they knew something was going on, so it was just my bad luck that I got the honk, and I got shamed. He was like, you got to move on. You can't stay there. But yeah, it was crazy. But looking at it, it was so surreal, and I couldn't figure out. I was like, it doesn't look like a rescue, but I'm not an expert. I don't understand how they would do it. I would get it if it was a major rescue, that they would block the road so that they can get in and out without being impeded by some just stupid tourists, if they needed to get out in an emergency. But just the positioning of the cars and the trucks and everything was just so strange. I wish I could get it on film, but unfortunately I was not able to. But it was surreal, man. But it was just crazy. It was just a weird thing. I've never seen anything like that out there before, and it was just a weird chance. I just happened to be out there that early. I went out there early because I thought it would be a better chance of nobody being there, like most of the tourists, and they weren't. But yeah, how surreal was it, man?
Pretty wild. I
was
saw some
pretty
people
crazy.
that were just guessing and theorizing. Some people were just like, maybe it was just training exercise. Some
Yeah,
people said
I thought it could have been a training one.
Some
for
people
sure.
also said we did have, which this is weird. I think we went, what was it, like 216 days without rain.
Yeah.
And then we had like 4 consecutive days of rain.
And that
I
place
saw
flash floods real bad out there.
Well, I saw somebody theorizing that maybe because there were a ton of nuclear tests out there, like during the development of the nuclear bomb, that maybe with all that extra rain, that they want to make sure there wasn't some kind of like runoff of fallout and stuff that happens to be existing out there in the desert, and so they wanted to see if all that rain stirred up anything. But
and supposedly, I think the day before they rescued like 6 hikers that got lost up there or something like that. So I mean, it happens all the time, more than you really kind of hear. But when we didn't really hear anything, nobody put out anything, which is really strange. I looked at all the fire departments. I looked at Red Rock Conservation. I looked at any other news organization. Nobody put anything out
Not
there.
a word, government.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, how does something like that happen with that much force in place, but you don't hear anything?
It sounds like the follow-up to this will be with Fiasco Jones and taking a look.
Yes. Let me get my tinfoil hat on. But yeah, but it was so surreal.
That's pretty funny,
crazy,
man.
yeah. But definitely don't let that detract you from going to Red Rock. And
No, it's
the
gorgeous
video
out there.
piece that I put together is ready to go for USA Today, and then we're gonna do the one tonight, and then hopefully that one comes off well, and hopefully it'll be a start of some more projects.
I dig it.
To work with them. I mean, that's what I've been telling them for years. Like, please, I'm out in Vegas. Use me.
Yeah.
Like, it's silly to not.
Let me
use
work
me
on
for
some of the
stuff.
main stuff. Not obviously MMA keeps you busy, but let's get some more variety and take advantage of some of the, especially as the city continues to grow and there's more sports teams
and everything. I mean, you think about the entertainment, you think about the travel value, you think about all the food and stuff like that. So the actual outlet that this is going to get put to is the Reno Gazette, which is based out of Reno.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that one of the editors at the Reno is just like, "Oh my goodness, you're in Vegas!" Like, and then asking my boss, like, "How do we do this?"
That's
Because I
awesome.
won't use them too much, but how can I do this?
That's cool, man. Well, good for you.
It's fun.
And,
It's fun.
yeah, the footage you shot looked really, really nice. So hopefully we can get some good stuff
Hopefully
today
get
as
something
well.
fun. If not, we'll get a buzz on.
That
And
works.
then I'll just give them something. I'm like, well, Red Rock was what I really promised you.
Why are these all just stock still photos? That look, this is
like,
a lot less
this
personal.
Looks like it was in your pocket. Is this your pocket? Like, what's going on?
What happened to that 360 cam?
Yeah.
All right, listen. Of course, the UFC is in Montreal this weekend for UFC 315. Initially, was going to go out there, but it is my son's 13th birthday on Monday, which is crazy. I'm going to have a teenager around the house. My mom and dad are both flying in tomorrow, actually morning, to come hang out with us for the weekend. So decided it was best if I skip that and come hang out with the family. But a card out there that we'll be talking about shortly. I think, to be honest with you, I think there's some fun fights on it. I know people are, detracting and they like to talk bad about Bilal Muhammad, which I like Bilal a lot. So I hate when they do that. But we'll talk about that. But a couple other things I did want to talk to you about real quick. PFL has some really interesting stuff going on right now, right? PFL made the announcement. The official launch of PFL Africa is on July 26th. There will be French and English broadcasts on the continent. They did not reveal any international plans. It does have the return of Johnny Eblen and Dakota Ditcheva on there, which is great because we know that those are athletes who have been waiting to get fights booked. Of course, we still know a handful of fighters are still saying, hey, put me in, coach, I'm ready to go. So it's good. They're getting that going. But first of all, I hate to even mention it, but Francis Ngannou was obviously involved in a tragic accident, so that's unfortunate timing. But I hate to even call it unfortunate timing. I mean, a loss of life is not unfortunate timing, but unfortunate with the PFL. So that's a shame. But then they've also got this interesting stuff going on right now that you've got PFL Europe this weekend, you've got PFL MENA this weekend, which is great. I stand by it. I think the best thing they got going is these international leagues, man. I think finding local talent in these international markets, developing talent to bring to the global stage, delivering events in local prime time, signing local television contracts, local sponsors, all that stuff I think is the best. Now, again, it just feels like the PFL is kind of snake bit sometimes. They got all that going on. They do have the cancellation of this Paris event in a couple of weeks that, again, has absolutely nothing to do with them, it seems. Now, they didn't make any comment, but people have connected the dots. Mansour Barney is being investigated due to some domestic violence disputes, and there's stuff going on. So that seems to be the reason for the cancellation. There's some legal pressing. PFL has not commented on that. That stuff I'll leave to the side because that's out of their control. The Francis Ngannou stuff, clearly out of their control. This Mansour Barney, clearly out of their control as well. But what I am interested in is this. I think the international leagues are the best. We don't get any coverage here in the United States on it. And I know there was talk about it, and we bugged the hell out of them last year. Yeah. How do we watch this? How do we watch this? How do we watch this? And to their credit, they have provided private streams for media to watch at times so that people could actually, see it.
Yeah, so there you go, people. Just become media.
They just got to be media. Yeah, it doesn't, but that obviously doesn't help the greater good. So, so here's what I'm wondering is, because they could easily just put it on YouTube, right? I mean, obviously that's an easy solution, although I'm sure from their perspective, if they put it on YouTube, now how do they go sell that content somewhere? Yep. If you're already streaming it for free, why is anybody going to pay for it? Which is fair, right? So I'm kind of torn. I'm stuck, and I just want to get what your thought was, because on the one hand, I feel like, look, it kind of, honestly, doesn't matter if the stuff is available in the United States or not. Like, let's be honest. How many people are really going to watch it anyway? It's at weird times for the United States. Yep. It's what you would consider developmental leagues, regional leagues. So how many people would really watch it? So it doesn't matter, because I hear people complaining, we can't watch it in the United States. We can't watch it in the United States. This is ridiculous. It kind of doesn't even really matter. It's not really for you. And if they're getting ratings and they're getting money for their properties in those local markets, that's all that really matters. But then when you start talking about adding athletes like Johnny Eblin and Dakota Ditcheva to the, when you start adding athletes like these to these cards, then I think you do want to make sure that everybody globally has a chance to watch it. So I'm kind of torn. I feel like maybe they don't need to really have contracts to see it in the United States, but at the same time, if athletes like that on there are, then I feel like now you got to do something.
Yeah, I mean, if their whole thing, if they're worried about like these companies overseas, so they're obviously getting broadcast deals or whatever to put them on in those countries.
They've got and those, like DAZN in Europe.
And those particular countries and those broadcast partners aren't trying to compete with the U.S. They're not trying to put it in the U.S.
Correct.
So they could easily, and can correct me if I'm wrong, they could. Why don't they just put it on YouTube in America and geo-block every other place that could be competing with these broadcast partners? So the broadcast areas where these people are paying these things, wherever they are over in the Middle East, could literally block out every other country in the world, but maybe just allow the U.S. to watch these fights. That's not going to hurt the broadcast partner because they're not going to be competing with anybody else anyways.
Right.
And so if for them to say, well, why would we pay if you're going to give it to free in the U.S.? And it's like, well, it wasn't going to get to the U.S. in the first place. You want to have exclusive here in this region. You have that.
Right.
The
only reason I think maybe would be, I guess the argument might be if you were a distributor is, when you're putting on YouTube, that's way easier for somebody to pirate than if we are the exclusive carrier of this. We feel like it's harder to pirate our pay-per-view stream than it is for you to pirate YouTube.
So you think that they're worried about pirating as opposed to just a broadcast partner? I don't know.
I do, because I think to be honest, I don't know. I mean, DAZN is a pay subscription. I'll be honest. With MENA, I don't know if the service is a pay subscription there. They announced
we can't subscribe to DAZN here and get
No, we can't. But what I'm saying is, I wonder if they're saying, okay, yes, I understand you're making it geo-blocked except for our market, except that we think people in our market still won't pay for it because they'll pirate it because it's going to be easier because it's out there in the rest of the world.
People pirate stuff even when it's behind its current thing. People find ways to stream it illegally, and at some point, it is what it is. But I think they just got to if you ever expect people, it's kind of a catch-22. If you ever expect this part of the world to understand and root for these fighters, they have to see them. And if you never give them an opportunity to even watch these fighters, does that matter?
See, that's the part that I come back to.
Over, to the States, and you're like, oh, they fought 4 times for us. Really?
Right.
It's the first time we've ever seen it.
Yeah, that's the part that is interesting, right? Because you're like, you spent the time to develop this athlete, but then when you sign them, you might as well just sign a free agent from somewhere else because nobody's seen them fight. So how does it benefit you at all?
It's tough. It's tough. I mean, it's like a no-win situation, but I mean, you got to. I think at the end of the day, who are you most? If these broadcast deals are very, very necessary to keep you going, that's good. That's good. I guess you have to kind of do it. But at the end of the day, if 90% of your market is in the U.S., or I'm making that number
right.
up. But if your largest share, if your market's in the U.S., why would you ever make it impossible for your largest audience base to not?
But see, I don't think there
take
is.
it?
I think the PFL brand is way more meaningful outside the United States than it is inside the United States. Almost like
they're certainly putting more effort in areas that nobody else is.
Right.
But I think in any of those areas that the UFC exists, I think they still realize there's a big difference of the product outside of the local shows.
Right.
Maybe going to a venue, somebody might like, oh yeah, but this guy lives here, so yeah, we're going to pack the arena. At the end of the day, we know the arena sales don't really do much outside of just paying for the operating costs of that particular event that just thing. That's not how the business is surviving.
No.
Surviving
ticket
off
revenue
of,
basically just covers the event, basically, for the most part. Yeah.
And a lot of times that
doesn't even cover that.
It doesn't cover that because it's not. A lot of times it might not even cover the salaries and then the other stuff, but it might help you at least cover the cost of renting the venue, paying for the security, and doing some of the other little stuff to sort of put it on, and maybe some of the T-shirts and the merch and stuff like that. But to think, I mean, I know the UFC used to always sort of say like, yes, this by putting on the event, it would cover everything, the salaries and everything like that, blah 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 blah. But it just depends on what the ticket prices are paying, the other sort of stuff, and who knows if that's even true anymore, if that stuff even fits. That might have been in the day, and now you got some of these guys with big money. The cost of an event might not even handle and cover, the salaries. You might need some of the other money that you get from the rest of the year and those broadcast deals to cover the sort of stuff. But
it's going to be interesting. I think PFL, again, I really do think what they're doing internationally is good. I think this year is going to be key for them. Obviously, Don Davis talks about it openly. Like, they realize that the UFC is up for a new contract, right? And if the UFC happens to leave ESPN, I'm sure the PFL feels pretty good. Like, hey, maybe ESPN still wants to be in the MMA game. Maybe they float a little bit more money our way, or they put a little bit more money into our product, or a little bit more attention to our product.
Yeah, a little bit more, but it would never be the same.
It would still be fractional.
But it might be a little bit bump up.
But it might be a bump up, and
it almost feels more like they're taking a step back. Like ESPN, like if they don't do the UFC deal, I would think that they take a step back to just try to repopulate with something else.
See, that's what's going to be interesting to see too, because that is where I believe, and again, it's not like I'm in the PFL meetings, but I believe the PFL believes that if the UFC does leave for like Apple or Amazon or Netflix or wherever it may be, that ESPN is still going to want to have an MMA presence, and they'll give them some more money. Not a ton more money, but more money. But I don't know, because ESPN could just as easily say, well, if we don't have the UFC, let's just not do this at all. Let's not do MMA at all, because ESPN has shown throughout their time that, like, if they don't have a piece of a sport, basically, right, like, they just don't cover it, you know. And if they do, look at over the years, like arena football, the freaking spelling bee on it, stuff like that. If they've got some money, if they got a little juice in the game, then all of a sudden, it shows up on Sports, and that's just smart. I mean, that's just business. You know what I mean?
And they might still want, maybe they just still want just giant tent poles.Maybe they get away, but they don't fully leave the game. Maybe they don't fully leave the UFC, because people. That was one of the things that have been floating around for a while. Maybe it's partially one thing, maybe it's partially another.
Maybe they split it up.
Maybe ESPN kicks back and doesn't even say, like, we don't want all the the fight nights, or we don't want the pay-per-views, or maybe they flip that instead and say, let somebody else handle all the pay-per-views, all that big money, because it was a losing endeavor. But we'll take your fight nights, but we're going to reduce the amount of money that we're putting in, so we'll get those other little fights, the lower fights that I can see where some people probably consider still better than the PFL fights, but almost on the same level.
Well, there's
as the
some
PFL
people that
fights.
only watch UFC. Let's be honest, right? There's just some people that only watch UFC.
I mean, I think the people that see the PFL on the ESPN platform are just diehard ESPN guys that just have it on and probably just say, "Oh, here's something different to fight." I mean, unless you're a diehard that love the PFL, which I have never run into one of those on the streets, to say like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely pulling up ESPN. I'm going to watch that." I think people just stumble upon it because it's already there.
They haven't done them any favors this year either, man. It's like at a different time, a different day. Like, at least, you know what I mean? Like, put them in the same time slot every time. Let them be in the same time, so at least like, oh, dude, Thursday night PFL's on, right? In Thursday night PFL night.
It's just so tough. I mean, ESPN has so much stuff on there, like. Literally, when I was trying to find just to see if what a game or something that was on last night, scrolled through, there was a baseball, then there was like 6 international soccer events going on, and something else. I was like, how can anybody ever just like, if you don't know what's going on, it's just like it's hard to find anything. They're just so inundated with content that's constantly there. They literally could say, UFC, this has been a lot of fun, but we're gonna dial it back, and or just say, it's been a fun experiment, and they got some good years out of it. But I wouldn't be surprised if they got completely out of it, at least, but still hold the rights to maybe jump in on something. You see that with even football, like college football and some other ones. Like you'll see big games on this network, big games on this one. So it's not, a lot of the big major ones don't all just seem to live on one platform. Like they all just sort of play nice. So maybe ESPN will be open to that. I think they were trying to corner the market and get that, since they were paying so much money. UFC is like, cool, yes, you can have it all.
Yep.
But as that ask gets bigger and bigger, I think now they're going to be like, all right, well, we're fine with just a fraction of it, if at all. Maybe I would say that they still want to have something, but I could easily see them just saying like, we have so much stuff going, like, go ahead, Dana, go ahead and do whatever. And Dana doesn't do any favor when he starts shitting on their platform, because then you got the guys at ESPN, they're like, fine, whatever. We've been losing money on these pay-per-views for years. Like, see ya. The amount of money that they pay the UFC is
lot.
Crazy. And
they're talking about a big increase.
And then when you talk about how much money that ESPN pays their own people to produce so much content, so many extra shows and other stuff, they're shelling out money, and that's not even counting like all that money they pay the UFC. That's not counting like the stuff that Charlie and his team and everybody going and doing whatever. They're still, it's a whole extra other cost.
They got
that they're doing.
They got a big crew too, man.
They put so much money into this thing that even if they just cut back and did half the events, the cost savings that they would probably would be huge.
It's funny too because their content, like they had that show, I think it's called UFC Destined, and it used to be called something else or whatever, but it's like, I mean, really good behind the scenes footage, like where they're basically just like embedded with them on fight week, and it's like really, and it's edited like very professionally.
Was it UFC put together, or
no?
is it ESPN?
I think it's ESPN puts it, or maybe it's one of those things where the UFC puts it together, but they label it to ESPN or whatever. I don't know.
You never know.
But you never see it.
Yeah.
You never see it, man. Like sometimes I actually stumbled on one the other day, and I was like, holy shit, I forgot they even produced this stuff. Like, because they never, and it's there for like every fight night, like every whatever, and like I never see this footage anywhere.
And they constantly have shooters go around. You just wonder if they're just hemorrhaging money because they're like, well, as a matter of fact, let's just send people. We're going to shoot. We're going to create stuff. And then when it comes time to put it together, like, well, this week's kind of full. We already got a bunch of other sporting events. Like, where are we going to put it? They already have like ESPN. Like, how many ESPNs are there? It's so
It is crazy when you see ESPN Plus, like how many live sports they have, especially when you add in like all the colleges and all that stuff.
It's unreal. And then you talk about all the different platforms that ESPN, Deportes, I can't even think of them all. They're Ocho, the blah 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 blah. There's so many.
It's gonna be interesting, guys. See, if for whatever reason, let's say the UFC does leave ESPN entirely, I kind of don't think they will. I kind of think like the UFC values being on ESPN. They're still brand name.
It's the premier sports organization in the US for sure.
So I think they still value there. But if for whatever reason the UFC did entirely leave ESPN, and ESPN then said, you know what, we're just done with MMA entirely. PFL, thanks, it's been fun, but we're not into this MMA stuff anymore. I would tell the PFL, like, don't even worry about the U.S. market at all. Like, just go international. Do everything international. Don't do a studio show here. Don't do whatever. Like, it doesn't help you to go be on some lesser streaming platform, I wouldn't think.
I mean, ESPN gave them a lot of, sort of just like validity.
Yeah, 100%.
People are like, like, oh, shit, they're on ESPN.
Like, what is that? I never heard of it. It's on ESPN. Oh, okay.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is.
It'd be interesting, but you make a good point because, if you lose that and it's like, oh, yeah, and, and I joked, I mentioned about Peacock. PFL's on Peacock now. People are like, yeah, no.
Okay, thanks.
I'm not going to watch
Yeah,
that.
I'm good.
Thanks.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but I think that's very much true.
So, I mean, I guess it can make sense, but, I mean, it'd be weird to be based and headquartered in the U.S. if your primary market then is overseas. Makes you wonder, like, at that point, don't you just relocate if overseas is going to be, because you're just paying people to go fly overseas to do events?
Yeah, that'd be dumb.
Might as well just relocate at that point.
Move some people.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see. All right. Well, we'll see how this all plays out over the rest of this year. Obviously, the first domino is where the UFC ends up, and then after that, that's where everybody else will
see all the dominoes fall after that one.
It'll all move around after that. All right, one other thing before we talk about UFC 315, I want to get your take on this. This Poatan tweet.
Yeah.
All right. Alex Bejeda tweets.
In perfect English.
Okay, thank you. A little foreshadowing there, my point here. Normally, what does he say here? He says, I always
Oxford comma.
I always answered the UFC's calls, but if they want to play with me, we can do that. I've never spoken poorly of the UFC, but with what I've just heard, I'm disheartened. I've already had thoughts of not fighting anymore, and after what was just relayed to me, maybe this may be the start. Okay, so that comes out, and immediately everybody rushes to write this out like, oh my gosh, cryptic tweet from Alex Bejeda. Da, 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 da. Alex comes out later, and he says, I was hacked. Don't even know. Guys know I don't even post on Twitter that often. I don't know what happened here. Got hacked. That's not me.
It didn't even say Shama.
Didn't even say Shama. That should have been tip number one.
That should have been tip number one.
Tip number one is the fact that it was perfect English. All right? Yeah. Perfect English. Now, here I want to throw this out there because it's a pet peeve of mine. And I don't mean this personally to anybody that happened to have written this story on any of your respective outlets. I get it. This is what we do now. But it is a pet peeve that this is what we do now. Because normally I would think that you would at least want to call that athlete and be like, hey, can I get a quote from you? Can I get some more information on what this is? Even if they just tell you no comment, hey, we reached out to them. They confirmed that was their tweet, but that, didn't have anything to add to it. I get it. I think that's what you should be doing. But in this day and age, it's speed over accuracy. It's get the clicks. And again, I'm not hating on anybody personally. I was part of this for a long time. I get it. I hated it because I think you're doing a disservice. All we're doing is posting social media posts.
Yep.
Okay?
And reacting to them.
And not even getting any information on it or even verifying. Again, obviously I started at Junkie before social media was a thing, right? And there came a time where you started, to me, this is how old school I am, is that I didn't like saying that tweet was somebody, because it could be a social media manager, or it could be, even if it wasn't hacked, right? It could be just somebody that's on his team or whatever. Now, if it's your account, I guess technically you're responsible for that. But I hate saying that's a quote from somebody. It's not a quote from somebody. It's a post on their social media account. Now, when it's somebody who does not speak English, and it's in perfect English, you would think that would give you a red flag of like, well, I can't say Poatan really said this because he definitely didn't say this. But I guess that's kind of semantics. I get it, right? Like if it's your social media account, we as a media these days assume that if it's on your account, you post it. Again, I don't like that. I wish we were still the age that we're trying to get accuracy and further information, not just speed, but it is what it is. So I wanted to identify that because it is a pet peeve of mine, and I wish the culture around it was different, but I am smart enough to realize it will never change. It will always just be that way. But now I turn over to you. Is Alex Bejeda telling the truth that he was hacked, or did he have somebody? Clearly he did not post that, but did he say something and say, can you translate this for me and post it in English, please? And whoever that person did, they translated it and they posted in English. And then the UFC called and was like, hey, Big Alex. Hey. You know we was just playing. I know we had that little call 5 minutes ago. I was just messing with you, dog. I thought you knew I was joking. So again, now I wish we would get some further information on this. Again, we now have a tweet and an Instagram video. At least in the Instagram video, though, I can see the guy. What do you think? Do you think he was hacked, or do you think maybe he was pushing on the UFC a little bit, and they were like, "Hey, I'm in Dagestan right now, bro, but I'll hit you up ASAP as soon as I get this situation worked out." I
mean, it certainly could. I mean, if he was hacked, that sucks and that's unfortunate, and it certainly would make sense. But on the flip side, can anybody just get something out there and then immediately say, oh, no, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. I mean, like, you get your point across, and then you have that get out card. I'm like, no, dog, that wasn't me. I didn't, I was hacked. I mean, could he have said those words? There's nothing crazy in that statement that seems like somebody, if I hacked, I would have said something like, I've been fucking mad bitches, fuck you, UFC. I don't need you, and I don't need whatever. Like
That's a
if you're
very
really
that's a very even-keeled hacker,
yeah.
right?
I mean, yes, because you figure if you're going to go big, you go really big. Why? There was nothing rude. There was
Right.
nothing obscene.
Right.
Who hacks and keeps it nice and polite?
You
and
start
like,
talking about like bald-headed cue ball or something,
Something.
right, like
Yes.
that. You start getting nasty.
You go nasty. You do something. You post pictures. You do something ridiculous. This was what could be a very legitimate, thought-out answer of being disheartened about something that you maybe heard. This seems very well thought out that it would seem to be a waste if somebody hacked your account. And that's what they come up with, a polite response to something. Like, that doesn't make any darn sense, you know? So, to me, I mean, who am I to say no? He of course, he could have been hacked at the end of the day. We know he physically didn't type these letters.
Correct.
Even though when you look on his timeline, there is a lot of English, but there's also a lot of English and then like a shama.
Right.
But so, you know, there's somebody handling it. So, whether or not, I guess the only person that really knows the truth, the two people, that would be Alex and then the person that runs his account that normally types stuff out for him could possibly say. But, you know, just looking at the weird side of things, if I was going to hack your account, I would not be polite and put something like this. I would be much ruder if I was truly pissed off at the UFC and wanted the UFC to be like F you or something. You would say that. You wouldn't just be like, you know, I've answered your calls. I've done what you wanted. I just feel disheartened. You know, like, bro, those aren't the words.
Please don't take these words the wrong
you
way.
You know, I just wish that this was relayed to me from the start, you know, for you to change your mind, you know, like, that's not what a hacker is going to write.
You know what? So here's
know?
my theory. It falls in between. Somebody in his management team wanted to get a message out
Yep.
and put something out, and then was like, oh, shit, I guess we got hacked, bro. Sorry.
I don't know if I think he's probably. I imagine him and the people around him are tight.
I think so, too.
I think the people that run his account are like his boys,
Right.
Or
Yeah,
somebody.
this seems like a family, right?
This
there's
yes.
the whole reason I'd heard like one of the reasons he insists on using Plinio Cruz to translate for him
Yes.
is A, number one, he trusts him.
He trusts him.
But B, so one, he trusts him, and B, or two, I guess if you're doing one, that he wanted Plinio to get more spotlight.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons he
Yes.
insists on using it. So like
Yes.
that
They
shows
keep it
tightness.
close.
That
It's
shows
tightness and respect. Like
Yeah.
there's loyalty and there's trust within the people that are on that team. So whoever has access
So
to
nobody
this
would
account,
take advantage of.
Yes. And like he wants to build up his people, but I don't think anybody would do whatever. So this to me seems almost like a calculated way to say something that whether you were actually upset, but then you maybe got the feedback that you didn't think that you wanted to get, and then maybe you were just like whatever. Or maybe he's just like, just say it, say I'm hacked, whatever. You know, I mean, guy could still be a little upset. He just lost the belt, you know, and if he's, you know, he's expecting to get the rematch, everything's good. And if he's getting an inclination that it's not going to happen, then maybe whatever. But it's the most polite hack ever. I think anybody in the world should aspire to have a politely read story, you know, because at this point, it's not even like his employer could get mad. He was just like, I'm just saying I'm a little upset, but it's not even like you didn't even really get anybody upset with like what you wrote. Like this was fine. Like if you're gonna piss somebody off, you got to go hard. And this was not hard.
Dude, somebody hacked my credit card number and deposited an extra $25 on my account or whatever. Like that.
Yeah.
You got like the greatest hacker ever.
They hacked my account and they bought a pack of gum. and then they turned off the card afterwards so that it wouldn't be used again.
So polite of them.
I mean, it's just it is what it is. I mean, you know, if that's what if the fighters kind of passed on the knowledge of, if that's the thing running around the gym now is like you can get a message out and say you're hacked, and then everybody says it's okay after the fact. Like you get one time you can do it, you know. We've seen other fighters, but when those fighters have been hacked, it's legit. You see pictures released.
Yeah.
You see other sort of stuff, you know. When you hack somebody's
Private
account,
text
you could see other
conversations
stuff. Yeah, you could see media that's shared to somebody else. You could do whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, there's quite possible other stuff. I would think it would just be much ruder, but it is what it is. If this is the new negotiating tactic of 2025, you know, I guess we'll see who else gets hacked this year. But it's the most polite hack. But at the end of the day, I mean, could he have been 100%? I mean, this is not his writing. So somebody else was involved, whether maybe they got the wrong message on what to put out. And then this is, instead of throwing the person under the bus, he just says, I was hacked. That could have been the way too. Like, bro, you were supposed to tweet from column B. You tweeted from column A. But I'm not going to throw you under the bus. I'm just going to say I was hacked, but don't do it again,
That's not a man you'd want to upset.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
It's just weird.
I do honestly, like, I do wish the culture around posting social media posts as news was different. I wish it was like there was a verification involved.
And good on him to get his hacked account back very, very quickly. You get your shit hacked, you don't get into it for a little bit. Just saying.
Not like immediately.
Not like 30 minutes. Oh, no, I was hacked, but no, I'm good now.
Good.
I'm
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. I reached out to Twitter support, and they were jumping to help me
Immediately
out.
got it.
They were
Yeah.
like, bro,
Shama,
you got it.
we got
Shama,
this.
we got you. We all know how quickly that works.
All right. So I do, like I said, I do wish the culture around it was different. I know it never will be. I wish we didn't necessarily automatically assume when somebody tweets something, Instagram something, that they said it, because it could be a social media manager, it could be whoever else, but I know that'll never change, so it is what it is. All right, UFC 315 this weekend, Bilal Muhammad, Jack Della Maddalena in the main event. Listen, I think this card is better than people are giving it grief about.
Are people giving it grief?
Oh, yeah. Everybody's like, this card sucks. I think anything involving Bilal Muhammad, people just want to say it sucks. And
well,
anything,
get over it.
And then people just want to rip on the UFC.
In fact, I get it because in Canada, I mean, like, did you see the person that was behind? There was a clip that went on social media. It was, I think Jose was asking.
I saw it right when I pulled up in your driveway.
Like, putting on a thing, and then they had, like, these two Canadian guys act like they were giving head or something. I was like, that's what you're going to do? That's what you're going to do when you get on camera? I was like, bro, you just outed yourself, both of you little weirdos.
That was
weird. I was like, Dana's like, yeah, we're not coming back here.
That's so
Did
weird.
you see the guy asked him, he was like asking Dana, he's like, yeah, I haven't been here for a while, like, so. And because Dana didn't hear him, so he abruptly he abbreviated his question. But he's like, Dana, if this does really good, this crowd here is amazing. So if they do really good, when are you gonna be back? And Dana's like, what was that? And he's like, Dana, the crowd here is very good. When are you coming back? And he's like, we haven't left yet.
That's his answer now. That works. That plays really well every time. It's like, we haven't even had the fight yet. When are you coming back? I did watch that. Yeah, it's man, not a long press conference. By the way,
super quick. It was like
12 minutes after the introductions.
The introductions took longer. I was on a tech call with like an IT person. I hear the introductions, and I felt like the call finished, and they were like, and then coming to the stage, I was like, oh my goodness, they were long.
I feel like, do you think like the people like the crew that has like a whole day of setting up and rehearsing and all that for a 12-minute press conference, and just the cost involved of renting the arena for that?
They're like, yeah, this is
good to go.
This is cool. And because half the stuff too, they're just leaving it up for tomorrow anyway.
That's true. They got to set up for the ceremonial weigh-ins anyway. It's funny. Well, first of all, yeah, I feel like
people. I did see that in some of the YouTube chats on the UFC channel and other stuff. They're like, that's it. Like, what? That's it? And it's like,
it's.
You almost wonder why they don't pivot on something like that. I guess they would do that, if they did like a fan Q&A, but it's like if you have a presser, it takes 5 minutes to get everybody on stage, and then you have 12 minutes of interviews, why don't you just pivot, and Dan would be like, we got any fan questions? But I think he always just wants to get out of there. So he's like, you done? You done with me? All right, let's square these dudes off. Let's get out. It's just
I'm going to be interested. I am interested to see if they do pivot from press conferences, from media days. Like, there's less and less participation, man. There just really is. Like, we'll see moving forward.
I mean, the UFC, we've talked about over the years. I mean, like, the UFC gets off easy by not having to do any other extra promotion for these fighters when they just clump them into these things.
Yeah.
If you get rid of that, then what do they pick up to do it? Because then they would be doing absolutely nothing.
It's interesting because press conferences back in the day, and again, this is the evolution of media, right? Like, press conferences back in the day, we were asking questions because we needed quotes for stories we were writing, right? So you needed to get that quote. Nobody writes stories anymore. So now all you're trying to do is you're just trying to get a video clip. But if it's a video clip that the UFC is already distributing live, then what value is it to you? You know what I mean? So it's like there's no real writers anymore asking questions. Now, if they do, fortunately the UFC is good. If you are a writer, they'll usually get you a one-on-one, or they'll get you like somebody on the phone or whatever, so you can get your stuff ahead of time. But I mean, that's what press conferences start at. It's kind of like, the media days are funny too, whereas like when we start, I mean, I think at Junkie, we were probably one of the first ones to ever start streaming media days, I believe. It's been so long, I don't remember. But we started streaming just because we were like, well, we're here.
Yeah.
And if people want to see it, they can join in with us.
Yeah.
And then they would start being like, you'd have people chiming in on the chat like, this sucks, it's boring, it's slow. Like, bro, this is not for you to sit here for 5 hours and watch the stream. We're doing this as a service to you so that if you happen to be hanging out at home and you want to watch it live or you want to feel like you're in the room, you can. But if this is not what it's designed for, once again, it's designed for people to get quotes. It was designed for people to get videos and that sort of stuff. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if they ever change it because for a major pay-per-view,
we were certainly one of the first ones.
I'm pretty sure we were. I think we were just like, hey, we can stream this.
Was like, well,
we're going to everything. Why don't we capitalize on the fact that we're going to everything? Because we used to go to every single show. We were at every single UFC event. But it would be interesting to see if they end up getting rid of that at some point. Because as I was watching that today, I was like, oh my God, that was really, really short. So much media just doesn't even want to participate. They don't care. I don't know.
But at least with the press conference, something like that, it's that fan-facing stuff,
Right.
Like even now you don't even see some of the same I don't even know what you would call them, activations or things on like the fight day. They used to always have those big booths and other stuff out front of the T-Mobile. Now you're seeing less of that, and now you're seeing less of that at the thing. So I think if they love it when the fans actually go and actually get to do it because you're building up fans that maybe can't go to the fight night. You're giving them something. You're coming to their town, just like what the WWE did.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff was free, and it was all over the town, and people ate it up because it was there. So it's like you want to be able to do that sort of thing. So that's what the press conference and the open workouts they were, and that's what the ceremonial weigh-ins is all about. I mean, like ceremonial weigh-ins is literally just that nice little face-off, one last little thing, but it's for the fans because we already know what they weigh. We don't need them to step on the scale. We love that shot when they square off and they're getting in their face. Yeah. They're more rehydrated. But the real newsy part is when they look like they're half dead earlier, hours before that where we're watching them where there's the real drama of whether they're actually going to make weight, So like the other stuff, it's great, and it's great when you get great sound from the audio in the background, So you want those things to be there because it's fun for the fans. But yeah, I mean, for the presser, who knows? It would suck for the fans that eat it all up. That want to have those free little things, but you got to wonder about some of the ones that wait outside for 2 hours, get inside, sit there for 40 minutes, 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour plus, and then you get 15 minutes, and then that's it. Luckily, the thing that they add to the press conferences that I think it still sort of balances that makes it okay for the fans, if the fans don't go to the ceremonial weigh-ins at the press conference, they're getting face-offs there. So you go through this 15-minute press conference, and then you get to see them square off with their opponent. Maybe that's the final part that makes it worthwhile for them that they come. They're going to come and watch this thing, and they might be like, wow, those were dumb questions. Those were whatever. I can't believe it was so short. But at the end of the day, they get to see Manon in Valentina's face. They get to see Bilal and Jack Della Madalena's face. So for them, they're like, that's awesome. And that's what they're going to remember. They might remember if there's a great quote or whatever. So at least with the pressers, I like the fact that you are giving something that the fans can take away from it.
Right.
Whether or not you get it in a quote, because most of the people, the video people, already got the same people the day before at media day.
Which does make it challenging as a media person.
Yeah,
like
100%.
We've literally had the guy the day before, now we're asking him questions
and then
again.
you kind of ask them the same question.
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, what else can I do? I guess I'll just rehash a question so that a question happens, So for the fans, they'd probably be happy. They're just like, hey, we're just going to do face-offs. We're just going to bring the people here. We're just going to do face-offs, and then we're going to get them in a van and we're leaving. But you can't go through all that trouble without giving something else. So I don't know if we'll see the pressers go away, but I think at least it's nice because the fans that can't make it to ceremonies will still get a face-off. They'll still get something,
Well, it was funny. So, I talked about people talking bad about the event. So I saw a lot of people earlier in the week posting about, like, look how bad the ticket sales are. This event's going to sell out. Like, I don't understand. It was just like
it hasn't been there in a while.
There are walk-up ticket sales are a thing.
Yeah.
Final
and it happens in Vegas.
Waiting till Friday.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
all the time we see people when we're waiting for our media passes. You see people walking up to the ticket things all the time. What's left?
Yeah.
What do you got?
All we got are 500. And hey man, the only seats they got left are 500. You in? Yeah.
I've seen people just take floor seats. I'm just like, bro.
Yep.
y'all
can just drop
balling
you
or
can just
something.
go drop 2 Gs.
Just gonna go drop 2 G. You're like, fuck, you in? You in? Cool. And I'm like, y'all crazy. I'm like, let's be buddies. Y'all throwing some mad money around.
Yeah,
You guys buying drinks later? Where you gonna be?
It's so true. So I don't know. I see again. It just feels like people want to hate on Dana and people want to hate on the UFC as much as they can. This event will sell out. So I just happen to see that. So all right, let's talk about the fights themselves though. UFC 315, the main event, as we said, Bilal Muhammad, Jack Della Maddalena. I got Bilal Muhammad in this fight. I will say this, and I talked to Bilal ahead of time, and he talked to me. He's going to throw the Canelo hands. He's like, I want to have my Max Holloway moment. He's saying I won't shoot a single takedown. I like Bilal Muhammad a lot. If he sticks to that, I think that's silly. To say that I'm going to stand and trade with Jack Della Maddalena for 5 rounds, that does not seem like a bright idea to me. And I think he's posturing.
I'm sure it is.
But
I mean, have we ever heard him say anything different? There's times I'm sure he'll say whatever. It's a mixed martial arts. I'll do whatever. But I think Bilal will just say whatever to get under somebody's skin.
Oh
too.
yeah, 100%. I just wonder if it's bad
I believe him that he will want to stay. I think he thinks he's got hands that he can throw a punch and he can take.
No, he
a
can.
punch,
His striking's gotten a lot better,
Yeah.
man. It's just, to me, it's not that like I don't want to say that his striking may be as polished as Jack Della Maddalena, or maybe even more polished.
Yeah.
But Jack Della Maddalena has that pop in those hands. You know what I mean? Where it's like, to me, why would you engage with somebody in the one area that they can potentially beat you? You know what I mean? So that's the thing that scares me, is that I think Bilal Muhammad should win this fight, and I like Jack Della Maddalena a lot. Again, I've said it from the beginning. I said it in my interview with Bilal. I don't think it's an insult to Jack Della to say that Bilal is the more well-rounded fighter. He just is. He's got more experience. He's got more experience, just a higher level. I think he is the more well-rounded fighter. But if he does choose to stand and trade with Jack, it could be problematic. So I'm picking Bilal Muhammad in this fight.
Yeah.
I think he is going to mix in some takedowns. Maybe, he takes a little leather and he says that, this was fun, this was a great idea, but no, I'm not going to do that anymore. I think it's posturing, to be honest. Maybe he intends to, but I don't think he's going to be able to stick to that. But I do think he has the more well-rounded skills, and he wins this fight.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Bilal, I think I doubted him more in the past, but he's like one of these guys. I'm just like, he's doing all the right things. He's getting better and better. And I think this fight, while Jack is tough, like you said, if it's a striker versus striker, but Bilal, man, if he gets hold of him, man, he just has a great way of just turning the fight into what he wants it to be. So, yeah, I have no reason to think that the champ's going to lose in this one. Is it going to be a tough fight? Sure. And if he gets rocked, then we'll see what's up. But
Jack's
he
tough,
can take a
right?
punch. Jack's real tough.
Old rugby player,
Yeah.
just tough as nails and can throw down. So I think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be tense as long as it's on the feet. I just think if it hits the ground, Bilal's going to dominate there. What do you think about Ian Gary? Here's another one I'm torn on,
He's certainly detracting from the event.
Okay, see, here's what
well, not detracting. He's building up that set, but he's taking a lot of the focus.
So that's what I want to ask what you thought about that, because I have stood here in support. I think you have too. That I think we're kind of on the Ian Gary bandwagon. You know what I mean? As far as liking the guy, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, he's a guy that a lot of people like. F this guy, hate this guy, don't like this guy. I've never felt that way. I like the guy a lot. But that being said, and even Bilal was asked about the media day, and he said, I don't mind what Ian's doing. You know what I mean? He's here. Yeah. He's trying to make the most noise. You got to make noise to stay in the spotlight, and that is true. But I don't know. I guess this is me almost being a little bit hypocritical, because I agree that, like, hey man, any chance you get the spotlight, you better speak up, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. This sport moves quickly. Yep. You get passed quickly. But I don't know. I guess maybe it's just because maybe we've never seen it, right? Like, most times, if you're the backup, you just kind of stay in the shadows.
Well, how often do they bring a backup to a media day?
Was he on this? Do you know? Was he on the schedule?
I don't know if he was on the schedule, but he was certainly up on the dais.
I know he was there. I just wondered if he was like, as long as which again, good on him. If he wasn't on the schedule and he's like, no, I want to go talk to my boys in the media,
to just happenly fit perfectly in between other fighters.
Yeah, probably not.
Knowing that his interview could easily go 30 minutes or so.
Easily.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the UFC planned for him to be, and they've never done that. I can remember that they've ever had a backup fighter take part in a media event. Now,
Which,
granted,
if it was their call,
fighters can go up there. I did that when I messed up when I had brought Ryan Spann up there recently at the Palace Station.
Yep.
He walked in. He was not supposed to be up there, but he walked in the room. He walked and sat at the table, and I was like, bro, just stay. We'll just ask questions. Do I think Ian Gary just walked in and did that? Probably not, but you never know.
You never know.
You never
I'd be
know.
interested to see the schedule. Because, if it was the UFC PR
I will
team,
look on the
do you have the actual schedule?
Yeah, I just
Take a
think
look
about it.
at-
I was like, why don't I just
look at the
on
actual schedule? Because here's let me lay out both scenarios. Because if it was on Ian and he just said, "Hey, while I'm here, I'm going to go run in there and talk," that's smart. If the UFC actually did put him on there, which you're right, they never bring the backup. But if the UFC did think, Bilal and Jack aren't going to talk much trash to each other, and we need some hooks, we need some controversy, we need some discussion.
He is not on the schedule.
So he came in and did it on his own. I thought so because I've never seen the UFC do that.
Yeah,
So
they would. That was.
I wouldn't have blamed him if they did because
Yeah.
they'd just be like, "Hey, let's stir." So with that being said, knowing that Ian did it on his own, do you have an issue with that, or do you feel like, "Hey,
No.
smart, just take advantage of what you can"?
Took advantage.
Yeah,
You make it a big play.
I agree. It's one of those things where I kind of feel like it's the unwritten rule of the backup is like, "Hey, bro,
You just
stay
stay
in the
low-key.
shadows, just stay in low key."
You're here to maybe get your money when you make weight. You
Yeah,
know, you're gonna
but
get, you get a little
I
something.
like the fact that he's like, well, hell, as long as I'm here, I might as well keep my name in the headlines.
I mean, and if anything else, if they know that that's what it takes, a lot of other fighters, if you could fit it in your schedule, to go, could he have reached out and say, hey, when are there any openings? Let me look at the schedule. The schedule's pretty tight. For the most part, they were all in 15-minute increments. From 11 to 11:30, there was a 30-minute break, and everything else is 15 minutes. So he either planned it scheduled perfectly. I don't remember when he fell into the thing because I wasn't paying attention.
Either.
So I don't
watched
know
it
if he
all
waited
too,
to
but I
the
don't
very
remember.
end. But if it means he's sitting around there with his family, waiting for an opening, waiting for something, and saying like, "Can I jump in?" and the UFC's like, "Hey guys, of course they know if they go in, they say, you guys want Ian,
Yep.
they're going to say yes."
Of course.
So if he took the time and postured up and waited and made it happen, good on him. You're just taking one extra step that he's willing to do that a lot of other fighters don't do.
Yep.
Some fighters have come in and asked to be and say like, "Yes, can you go?" And a lot of times the media is either like, we're good, because it's usually, maybe somebody lower on the card that just normally wouldn't go. But if you have a guy that, is literally capable of fighting for the title at some point soon, you're like, yeah, go ahead.
I'm soft. I would never say no to anybody. If I was back there, I couldn't say no to anybody.
Yeah. Well, it's tough. You bring somebody in without – a lot of people sometimes need preparation,
True that.
And then if you just spurge something on it, you're like, holy cow,
I don't. It is hard. Like if you don't have any. Look, I'll be the first to admit. I bring notes. I research the night before because I do not have that type of photographic memory where I don't remember what your last fight was. I don't remember what your last two fights were. I don't remember who you were talking about. You know what I mean? So if I kind of would prefer to know. I can generic just wing it, be like, so. Talk to me about your preparation for this.
Yeah.
How did you approach it? But I feel like that's almost disrespectful in the lack of.
Well, even that, a lot of times, sometimes if I know the sort of order, I'll open up Tapology so I can have the records or whatever, so you can go whatever. And somebody walks in, I'm like, oh shit. Let me try to type this up. Let me try to find it. And then next thing you know, they're up there.
Yeah.
I'll usually try to take notes or do something if I know that I have to really participate in a media day. But if not, I'm I'm just going to do follow-ups.
Hey.
I'll let all the writers do stuff.
Knock on wood, brother. Knock on wood. As we sit here right now, I'm planning on being there next week at Media Day. I'm planning on being there. I'm throwing it
Why
out.
even just put it out in the
Don't-
universe just to not do it?
Look, as it stands right now, if you look at my iCal, it is marked aside for Media Day.
Yeah.
So we'll knock on wood.
Yeah.
By the way, it was kind of confirmed at the press conference today, the kind of what we knew all along, but they've been waiting. Everybody keeps getting up, and I guess another thing, everybody, well, how come they haven't announced International Fight Week yet? Well, they haven't announced International Fight Week yet because the plan is for Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev to potentially fight there. But if Jack Della Maddalena would happen to win the title, then Bilal Muhammad would happen to lose the title, then Islam Makhachev would like to go up and fight for the 170-pound title. But he doesn't want to fight Bilal. Bilal doesn't want to fight him because of their history together. So they're waiting on the result of this to make that decision. The understanding that was kind of laid out there and that I had heard all along is that it'll either be Islam and Ilia, or if Bilal wins, then Islam doesn't want to move up, then it would be Ilya and Charles, which I don't know if that would be for an interim title or how exactly they would lay that out. I'm sure that's part of the reason Hunter made the trip out to Dagestan to work out the details on that. But I know they got to give Ilya a title fight. Like, Ilya did not give up his 145 title for the chance that they would give him a title shot at 155. They told him they'd give him a 155 title shot. So, Valentina Shevchenko, Manon Fiorot, who did you make the pick for here? Because I got to be honest with you, man. Ooh. I am a Valentina Shevchenko homer. I believe she's greatest pound for pound. She's right up there in the discussion. Obviously that normally falls to Amanda Nunes, Chris Cyborg, but Valentina Shevchenko is on the Mount Rushmore right there as well. She is as well-rounded of a mixed martial artist as you will ever find. She is dedicated to the craft, etc., etc., etc. But Manon is big, and she is strong. And she's a lifelong martial artist as well, and I've been high on her from the day she came into the organization, knew she would fight for a title at some point, and the betting odds have her as the favorite.
Yeah.
Shevchenko's the underdog, which on the one hand you say, man, I can get Shevchenko as a dog. Like, I got to take that,
I think
right?
Shevchenko was a dog on the last rematch against Alexa as well, and we saw what happened on that one. You know? But, I mean, initially I was leaning Valentina, especially after the last one. I rode her so long that it was just like until Alexa beat her, and that time I was like, man, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe that time has come, and then she got the win again. But, man, it's just Manon is just strong.
She's a beast.
And, that being said, my picks have not been great this year, so my initial thought to go with Valentina I did not go with, and I went with Manon. So if it rears its head and bites me in the butt, and that means Shevchenko retains the belt, then that is why, because this year just wants to poop on my picks.
Well, you can't be champ every year.
I can't be champ every year.
I mean, there's still a lot of time left.
I'm ready to dub Farah the Queen this year. She's back at the top. They're close. They're like one behind her, but she's killing it. So maybe she's taking over the reins. But yeah, I'm not doing well this year. But in this particular one, I did take Manon. I think she's just strong. I think she's fierce, man. And Valentina, as tough as she is and as well skilled, this is an opponent that's I'm not sure what the age difference, but just somebody that just hasn't taken that same wear and tear. And I just feel like she's rising up, whereas Valentina is not quite the Valentina peak that was dominating everybody. And to go against a bigger opponent, a bigger, stronger opponent, I just don't know if she's going to have her way, should it get to the ground or anything like that. And when it stays striking, if Manon lands some big shots, man, it's going to do damage.
It's not that big of an age difference because Manon did, and this is one thing that's always kind of weird during her rise up, as you look and like, whoa, she got kind of a late start in mixed martial arts. So she is 35, Valentina's 37. So, I mean, it is 2 years difference. And But once you start getting up there, so I'll be honest with you, I think I'm leaning Manon as well in this one. And
she's just so strong.
She's big and strong.
She's so big,
too,
man.
So.
And I don't know, but Valentina has a way, man, of just taking a fight back, man. It's that experience. You just
she seems to have a little chip on her shoulder too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and she's carrying it on this one. She's the fact that people compare their styles and saying a lot of other stuff. She's like, we're so different. Just our hair, maybe our hair is the same or something. And maybe our stances.
We stand on the same side and we have the same color hair. That's been her go-to. It is funny. I haven't heard many people compare their styles. I don't think their styles are similar at all. I mean,
they're both women that strike.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. You're right.
Yeah.
They're practically identical.
Jose Aldo, Emin Zahabi.
That was a tough one. I went Zahabi.
Zahabi?
I did.
Yeah, it's tough. So here's what's interesting, too, because Aldo –
I hate picking against Aldo.
Such a legend. But it's interesting, right, because he's, talking about that last fight, and he's like, man, I know it sucked. I was so mad. I didn't want to talk about it. And so, on the one hand, it's like he's addressing what happened. He's, not trying to make excuses. But it's almost like he's saying, oh, I know what I did wrong there. But it's like what you did wrong was you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You weren't able to get out of the position.
Yeah.
What? So
another Brazilian that speaks great English, but he just chooses to act like he doesn't.
100%, yeah, all the time. He speaks English. So it's interesting because if he's right, if he's like, oh, that fight relit a fire inside of me, and I will never fight that way again, then okay, cool.
Why come back at that point? You made it look like why.
Yeah.
You know, like you didn't want to see that sort of stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see Jose keep going out there and doing his thing. Jose go out there and whip up on some dudes. But, man, the dude walked away at the right time, and it was really cool to see him go into boxing, do some things, and do well, and then come back and then did well. And people were like, man, maybe he should have never left. I was like, dude, there was good reason. I mean, like, right now he's on borrowed time. You know, I love Jose. I just don't want him to see him take damage against guys he doesn't need to. But Zahabi, I kind of homered. I gave him the home team advantage. Zahabi's they do well in Canada.
Boy, the atmosphere during that face-off after the press conference today was really cool, man. Like
he's a big boy.
He was definitely getting some love. Alexa Grasso, Natalia Silva. Natalia Silva, a big favorite here. I get it too, man. I like Alexa a lot, but Natalia Silva, she looks like the next thing in the division.
I think I did take Silva on that. I think so. She's so cute. I love when she just gets in. She's another one just full of energy, and then she's a total badass.
Could be a
but
really
when you
fun
see her,
fight.
she's always smiling. She's always whatever. I guess Alexa's the same way.
Yep.
You can have the two smiling ass girls
You really
going in
do.
there and just beat the shit out of each other. But yeah, that's going to be a good one. But you know, Alexa, man, it's hard to pick against because you know she's been at the top of the game. But man, there's a time and a place, and man, I think Silva, if she can get through this test, and I think she sees Alexa as that test, like, can I be a champion? I need to beat a former champion. Then I think she will understand that she has the skills. I mean, or it could be that this is one that she takes away and says, like, I'm almost there. There's something I need to do, you know, and that's going to be that experience that we see from Alexa. You know, she's gonna push her, you know, but we've seen if Alexa takes some serious damage, she's taking some shots, she withers. She's not the same fighter, you know, when she takes some damage. And Silva's tough, man. She's powerful.
I know.
A lot of power in that little body.
I'm excited for that one. Did take a big hit with the card opener, Joel Alvarez off the card. Kyle Preblek, good on him. Gets the call. Tough assignment for him against Benoit Saint Denis. I think most people would be picking Benoit Saint Denis there.
Yeah.
And then the prelims, I'm excited. We got a little CFFC on CFFC action. Charlie Radke, Chuck Buffalo himself.
Buffalo, your boy.
Against the Mike Malott. Both these guys standouts in CFFC. Radke was actually a champion. And then the fight below that as well, Jazz Divisius against Jessica Andrade. That's a great fight as well. Jasmine fought for the title, actually came up short, and has just gotten incredibly better since, and continues to improve every time out there. So the CFFC family will be tuned into that and looking forward to that. So I'm actually excited. This, like I said, it's a
good card.
I think it's going to be fun, man. Like I said, I think I feel like the UFC hate is at an all-time high, and it just annoys the shit out of me if I'm being honest with you. But I think it's a fun card. I'm gonna cook out over at the Morgan household. Got like I said, my family. I'm picking them both up from the airport tomorrow morning, and I think we'll cook out and put the fights on at the house and just kind of hang out. Never gotten to watch fights with all my family before, so that'd be kind of they've all kind of become fans. Like I said, my mom watches like everything. She became a fan just because she wanted to like keep up with what I was doing, and then through doing that, she like actually started like finding personalities that she liked and people that she liked. Now she's actually a fan. And then my dad, he'll watch prelims, but he's never bought. I don't say he's never bought. He's bought a couple pay-per-views, like the biggest like the ones that were like transcended to culture, you know, he's bought those. Like the ones where people call you that like you never talk about fights, you know, they're like, what do you think about this? You're like, I didn't even know you knew that was happening.
Bought a Connor fight.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's bought some Connor fights along the way, maybe a John Jones or something. So
gotta get him on the stream site, though.
Dang it, sir. Sir. That is how I make my money, sir, is through an organization that airs behind a paywall. So you will never hear me in favor of streaming under any circumstances whatsoever. So,
Mr. Morgan, I got you. I'll get you. I'll get you the info.
You're terrible. It's not Stream West, I'll tell you that.
Nope, not that one.
All right, listen.
Or Stream North. That's not it either.
Terrible. All right, listen. We gotta go do a video shoot, huh? Let's go check out the Las Vegas Strip, and I'm just
waiting for that sun to go down so we get those nice lights down there.
Probably though, maybe a couple pre-games just to get the mood right.
I'm not driving.
All right, well, listen.
I'm just holding a stick out the window.
We're We're gonna have some fun on the show. I'll look for producer credit on this one. You can throw me just embed it somewhere in there. Anyway, listen. Hope everybody enjoys the fights. We'll get together for a little and a half on Monday afternoon. Even though my family's in town, I've let them know we got to carve out a little time. We'll knock that out. And for everybody over at patreon.com/MMA Roadshow, appreciate all the support. But for anybody that gives us any of their time, thanks for listening.